I think I've been talking to a lot of gaming founders and creators in recent times, and one of the big challenges that they have is that what is a chain that they would like to adopt, and clearly because the decision of your blockchain is, I think, very critical to the success of a Web3 gaming studio. And today there are a lot of options there. You have layer ones, which are EVM, you have non-EVM layer ones, you have the mushrooming of layer twos, and now you have a whole lot of these custom chains like roll-ups, app chains. You have specialized like blockchains like Scale Games and Saga and a host of the others. So I think creators are spoiled for choices, but it also leads to a lot of confusion, right? In terms of what decision should I make as far as a chain is concerned. So really, Idon, what would be your guidance to a gaming company which is looking to select a chain? What are the criteria that they should look for?
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for that. I just want to mention, just to reiterate the problem statement, not other than the L1, L2, L3, there's also ones that look like the blockchain, but it's actually not. So which means after lots of this, like, hey, we have this blockchain. After you look at it, you just have an API. And where's the blockchain? Do you have Explorer? So there's even ones which is even actually a centralized solution. They call it the Cell blockchain. So yeah, I think there's a fundamentally quite a few things here. But because we started with our own, from scaling from Ethereum, like the first smart contract, to something like Polygon BSC, then later on to I would say on the third cycle of chains, which you started really have guys like Avalanche, KL, Solana was also the big one. And then migrates of other non-EVM chain, like I think the other one big one was like Flow blockchain was huge. Then obviously there's also Side one, which is kind of not. But I would say fundamentally, number one is your developer, which means the developer that you're able to onboard. What do they program with, right? Do they know Rust? What are they on Solidity? So I think that's going to be a major thing, because what we found is because blockchain smart contract. The contract are immutable. Your contractor or your developer need to be very good, and they almost always need to be in-house. When we initially started, there was I think, but based on tally, there's only 3,000 Solidity developer when we started. So there wasn't many choices. But at the same time, you found out there was a lot of contractors, but some of them came in and they were kind of leaving. I wouldn't say obvious back doors, but which means they were leaving, like, I would say, newbie mistakes, which it could be, intentional or unintentional. Yeah. So I think A is getting a developer down, understand, which team or what are they going to develop on. But I think it's really no different than Web 2. You got to figure out, you're going to get all your developers in C, or is it Java, or is it Visual Basic? So I think that's core number one. Then from that, of course, you figure out, okay, of the different chain, do you necessarily need to be with one specific chain, or do you want to go with a multi-chain approach? Because in the multi-chain approach, obviously that would lead to the problem of, okay, if I do multi-chain, do I have a two separate ecosystem, or do I actually allow them to cross-chain? So I think our best advice, over the years from, working ourselves to put on a chain and then figure out, gas went so much on ETH, then no longer feasible. Then we went to Polygon BSC. We actually ran into the same problem. Polygon BSC is supposed to scale, but when transaction used to cost, let's just say 1 cent, all of a sudden every transactional becomes 10 cents because Polygon and BSC went up at least 400x, right? Because they started around like less than $4. And same with Polygon, they started with 1 cent. And then they also went all the way up to, actually maybe $2. So they went up like 200x. But you have to also consider, not only do you have the price of that gas token went up, the gigawatt, the competitiveness of that is actually went up as well. So overall, whatever you design, you say, anyone can pay 0.1 cents. But when it goes up, a combination of two goes up 1,000x, people are still paying $1 during the bull market. So I think that's become a major understanding. So then I think everyone realized that. Then the surface of to say, hey, application specific chain. Why don't you just run your own chain? If you run your own chain, you don't have to compete with each other. So I think there's these are the key things which people look at. But I would say start with something which is close to a free essentially the ecosystem. So two right now. One is essentially the ultimate robot. All gas is essentially paid by the people running the chain. So that's entirely free. Just by design, all of the L2 is free. So we run one as well called Chainverse, right? Chainverse.info, been running that for about 2 years. So our own L2 roll up. The other one we know, which was Scaled Network, so they also run a zero gas fee. However, in either case, the key thing you still have to consider is fundamentally, do you want your own gas token? Because fundamentally, I think that's an entirely different ball game. Because once you have your own gas token, now you will kind of have a greater control of the cost of what you need to pay. What I mean by that is, traditionally when you create a video game, you are creating a game, and the more you scale, the cheaper it becomes, right? AWS and whoever said, okay, you get a bigger server, the more you consume, the cheaper the tier. But blockchain, that's exactly different. The more you consume, the more popular chain is, the more expensive you have to pay. But I think so that's I think the catch 21, right? So I guess the main thing that we need to then be able to resolve that is, if you were to run your infrastructure, have your own gas token. No, your infrastructure cost is directly now tied to your gas token. So in that case, you can now be more scalable because you're not tied to the fact that price go up so much because you have a repository of that gas token. So I would say it's evolution. I don't think people should be running their blockchain from day one, because even for us, right, we've been in the Web3 space for 7 years. It wasn't until we had the opportunity to run L2 or invest in blockchain almost 4 years ago, but only 2 years ago we started running L2, and then now that we have a lot of experience running the L2, now we're running the L1. So last thing I want to mention is, regardless of which chain you do, right? Because right now, as you guys know, we're now doing our Pentagon Game chain, right? So Pentagon chain, and no matter which chain you choose, one of the other big differentiator for you is people want to look at the overall ecosystem, which means if you're going to deploy NFT, is there an NFT marketplace there?